Okay guys, as promised, I'm going to show you what I do here to mold these things, or after I mold them, what we use. So this is the product right here. It's a glass-filled urethane from Adtech Plastics, part A, part B. Now, you've got the plastic, and what I recommend you have is some graduated mixing cups. This one you can see it's starts at 4 ounces. It's better if you have a finer graduation than that, but this is what they had at Home Depot. If you go to a plastic supply place where they sell stuff for mold making, and especially for fiberglass mixing, you'll be able to get finer ones. Mixing by weight is actually the way I like to do it, but this is pretty easy because it's 1-to-1. It's 1 part A to 1 part B, so it's pretty easy to mix it up. The mold we're going to pour is around 12 ounces, so we'll just do 6 ounces, which is this line, and then the remainder to 12, and then dump it in the mold. The good thing about these plastic cups is if you mix it all up in there, and once it hardens up, it doesn't stick to this stuff, so you can pop it out and use them again. The other thing you need to have, which I have over here, is some rubber gloves. This stuff's gooey, nasty crap, so don't get it all over yourself. And also, very important, is a way after you fill the mold to set it so that it's secure and doesn't tip around. I made this little jig to hold these molds, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So first, let's mix this stuff up. I've already stirred it up. I poured another gun here just a little while ago. So this particular kit is actually it's a sample kit, and you can't buy it in this size. You have to. It comes in 1 gallon kits. That's the smallest. You have a gallon A and a gallon of B, or depending on the type of resin, you'll have a gallon of the base, and then a pint or so of the activator. And it's not mixed 1-to-1. It's that stuff's kind of important to do by weight. Let's give this another little stir. So when you stir the stuff, you want a different stir stick for each side, because you don't want to, unless you're going to mix it all up at the same time, you don't want to put a stir stick from one to the other, because you can cause it to go off. Probably stir stick. One of the many uses for scrap kydex. So the stuff I used to use, and one of the reasons that this video has taken so long to come to be, is that the stuff I used to use it's settled out, and it's been reformulated into this product. And I had to order it and mess around with it and see if I liked it or not, which I do. It's better than this stuff. This doesn't settle out, so it does a little bit, but it's really easy to stir up. The resin I used previously sucked in that regard. You know, once it settled out for a day or two, it was almost impossible to get it stirred up again. You had to use a mixer. You could sit there for 15 minutes and stir on the stuff, or even longer. You had to scrape the bottom. It was just this big hard rock of gunk in the bottom. It was kind of a pain, but this stuff is much better. It doesn't settle out, and if you're going to get it in bulk, in 5 gallon pails, so you'd have 5 gallons of A and 5 gallons of B, which is probably $500-600. That makes it doable that way. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll fill this up to 4 ounces. Dribble it in there. Be accurate. I don't know that absolute perfection is necessary. If it was, I wouldn't use these cheesy containers for this. But let's go to 6. Actually, we need 12. So 6 is the next unmarked line there. So we're doing a mold of a Glock 19 right now. So this is probably a little more than we need, but it's better to have too much than not enough, I think. Probably could have got away with about 10, but I don't have those measurements on here. So we'll take the dirty stick, stir it up real good. You can really tell by the color too if you got it right. It's a nice light gray color. Looks like my battery's gonna die. Maybe we can get this done before that happens. So you'll notice this video compared to the other one, I actually have an actual video camera sitting on a tripod. Much better. So get it good and mixed up. You've only got about maybe 6 to 8 minutes once you have this mixed up. You want to make sure everything's ready to go, because you don't have a whole lot of time to work for. You got plenty of time to pour it in a mold, but you don't have a whole lot of time to be goofing around and doing anything else. So what we're going to do, set this stuff aside. So this is my third gun I've poured out of this, and they've all been, this is actually a Glock 17, they've all been full-size guns. So out of a kit this size, you can get probably 3 full-size, or, you know, a mixture there of full-size and mid-size and small ones. If you're doing small, like LCP kind of stuff, you get a whole bunch of them out of it with that. So what I'm going to do is I filled it up to about here, and then I'm going to kind of tilt it forward and let little air bubbles come out of the trigger guard. This thing leaking. You want to check at this point too to see if it's leaking anywhere. This one looks like it's fine. No leaks. The last one I did had a little leak right here in the tip. I had to quickly throw some tape on it. So once we do that, we'll top her off. Almost all the way to the top. We're going to stop just short of it and put it down in here. So what I did is I put it in here. I'm going to put a shim under it to make it level. Leveler, is that a word? Put a couple more shims. You don't want to make this too tight, just kind of snug it up so it won't tip over. And then we'll pour the rest in there. Getting that in frame. I'm not a very good videographer. You need to get somebody that's a professional at this or whatever. Okay, so now one way you can tell if you got a leak too, once you get this thing all lined out like that and filled up, this will drop, and you can kind of watch down in here and make sure there's no leaks, because it sucks when you get a leak in it. One thing you do too, if you want to fill out all the way to the bottom of the magazine well here, is actually build this up with clay, so you have a little dam here, and then you build it up and grind off whatever you don't use. But that's the gist of it, just like that. And then I've got one that I did a while ago that I'm going to check right now, see if it's ready to come out. It might not be yet. You want to get this thing level. So yeah, so a full-size Glock is going to be about 12 ounces of stuff, because I used all that. Same with the CZ75 I just poured. It was 12 ounces. Actually, surprisingly, I didn't think it would be. The CZ75 used just slightly less material than this Glock did. So there's enough in here to do at least one more full-size gun. So that would be 4 full-size guns out of one of these kits. Alright, well, I'm running out of battery. I'm going to change batteries, and then I'll come back and show you a finished product. Okay, so here's what we came out with. Here's the Glock. You see the definition and such on it. This is the CZ. So the plastic really stuck to these things. I actually had to, you can see where I was peeling it off, I had to heat it up and peel it off because the release didn't work. You really probably need to use a silicone based release. What I've always done in the past is I just put gun oil on them, rub it down with gun oil or WD-40 or something, and it's never, this is a new plastic, so it's a little bit different than the stuff I was using. I'm going to have to mess around with it a little bit more and figure out what release is going to work the best. I'll talk to them, and they'll probably, the supplier that I get it from, and they'll clue me. And you can see there's a pretty good parting line right here. You got to sand down. If you actually get to these soon enough, if you can just pop them right out of the mold when they're still just not quite set up, I mean not quite as hard as this stuff gets, you can actually just trim that off with a razor knife really easily. This one I noticed the flashing is actually pretty good right there. It should be alright. I'm going to make a holster with this one here pretty soon, because I need to get one done for this. But that's it, man. I'm going to actually offer a kit, and it will be, I'm going to repackage it in this size and then label it. And I'm going to offer a kit with of this urethane for everybody that wants to be able to, for the urethane and the other stuff. I'm going to actually do some samples of the epoxy casting. It's an aluminum filled epoxy. This is a glass filled urethane, and kind of compare the two as far as cure times and all that, and see which one's better. The epoxy is a lot more expensive, especially when you buy it in bulk. It's pretty pricey. In fact, I think you can only get that in 5-gallon. You get a 5-gallon pail and then like 2 quarts of activator, and all the stuff is kind of goes by the pound rather than the size. Like this can right here is probably only about, I don't know, 2/3 full, and you are able, out of this can you can get basically these 3, that much out of them. And what I would recommend doing too is, if you were to cast these things, is to actually not fill out the handles. It's not completely necessary, and you could actually get a whole nother gun out of just those 3 handles right there. This is one I did before. In fact, this is the older, this is the original resin I was using. You can see the difference in color, how it's shiny, and this stuff is matte, although I think that might be because it's stuck to the plastic. I didn't think I was going to get these things out. I thought it was, I wasted all this material, but I managed to get them out. I just totally destroyed the mold. I had to heat it up with a heat gun and peel it off. Total pain. But it worked. A different release is definitely going to make this better. So anyway, that's, oh, so get back to this. I'm going to have this stuff available on my website, which actually isn't up and running yet. It's going to be my holster and knife sheath website, and I'm going to have this stuff, and also I'm going to buy a whole pallet of the polystyrene, because I need it too, because I've got a whole bunch of guns I need to mold. And so I'm going to have this. I'm not set on a price yet, but this stuff right here for a kit this size is probably going to run about $35. And then the polystyrene sheet's going to be about, for 12 by 12, or per square foot, is going to run about $5. No, excuse me, not square foot. It's going to be about $1 a square foot. So for a kit with this and basically a whole sheet cut into squares. I have to do the math. My brain's not working. It's too early. That's what I'm going to have available. And you can choose to just buy this and find your own polystyrene or whatever. All right. Well, if you have any questions, or if you're interested in doing this, I'll put my email on there. Or you can just message me if you're interested in getting some of the stuff. I won't have it available because they don't have any large quantities of this in the store, so I'm not going to even bother trying to get it until after the first of the year. And then I have to get these cans and have the labels printed and all that stuff. So it's going to be a little bit, probably mid-January before I have it available. Maybe in the first week of January. All right. Thank you.